Did you know some riders are using outlaw tricks to squeeze more power, sharper throttle, and insane acceleration out of their bikes, and it actually works? We're talking about the 17 illegal mods that can wake up a motorcycle overnight, but also wreck engines, fry sensors, fail inspections, or get you pulled over, depending on how you decide to do it. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on the forbidden side of motorcycle tuning, the tricks that claim to make your bike run better, and the real risks hiding behind the horsepower. If you want to unlock smoother response, stronger mid-range, and ride like your bike just got upgraded without wrecking it in the process, this one's for you. 1. Carburetor. Rejetting beyond specification. Changing the jets in a carburetor alters how much fuel the engine receives and can make throttle response feel immediate, giving the illusion of more power. A perfectly tuned jet can indeed unlock smoother mid-range pull, but when done beyond spec, the mixture goes too rich or too lean. The result is higher combustion temperatures, fouled plugs, rough idle, and a risk of burning valves or pistons. One wrong turn of a screw can cost an entire engine rebuild. Now that we've talked about fuel mixture, let's slide down to the exhaust pipe and see how one missing part can cause bigger trouble than it's worth. 2. Removing the catalytic converter. Riders often remove catalytic converters, chasing a louder growl and what feels like a performance boost. The exhaust note deepens, throttle response sharpens slightly, and suddenly the bike feels faster even if the actual power gain on a dyno is barely noticeable. It's the kind of change that's more emotional than mechanical. But it's enough to convince many riders that they've freed the engine, but that loud freedom comes at a cost. Removing the converter disrupts oxygen sensor data, which throws off fuel mapping and increases exhaust gas temperatures. Over time, this leads to inconsistent throttle response, premature sensor failure, and unstable idle, especially in traffic or hot weather. And because catalytic converters are legally required in most regions, it also turns your bike into a rolling emissions violation. That tiny power bump, it fades fast when the engine starts running rough, or when inspection day rolls around with a big red X. With the exhaust opened up, some riders start poking at the sensors, causing the warning lights leading straight into the next illegal trick. 3. Tampering with the oxygen sensor. Editing the engine control software to raise or remove the rev limit lets the motor spin higher and feel faster. On the street, the surge past factory redline sounds glorious, but there's a reason engineers stop it where they do. Bearings, pistons, and valve springs all reach their limits quickly, and an over-revved engine can destroy itself in seconds. The thrill is temporary, the damage is permanent. If that feels too complicated, some riders look for a simpler chemical answer, and that's where the next trick explodes onto the scene. 4. Illegal ECU flashes to remove rev limiters. Flashing an ECU with a map that disables rev limiters or over-revs the engine may sound thrilling, but it invites catastrophic mechanical failure and usually violates street legal requirements. These maps often ignore the full picture of engine safety, fueling, and cooling. A safer path is to seek an authorized ECU remap or a staged upgrade from a recognized tuner who will keep safe rev and temperature margins. Tuners with proper equipment optimize performance while protecting internal components and maintaining compliance where required. If electronic meddling isn't your style, some riders turn to chemical shortcuts. Let's take a look at those next. 5. Using nitrous oxide on public roads. Nitrous oxide can produce big power gains, but using it on public roads is illegal and extremely risky without track controls and professional installation. The sudden power spike overwhelms tires, brakes, and rider skill, which is a recipe for disaster in traffic. If you want to explore nitrous safely, restrict its use to closed-course events with a proper, professionally installed system and the correct safety measures in place. For street riders, incremental mechanical upgrades or a responsibly tuned performance package provide predictable and manageable gains. Another common temptation is simply removing mechanical limits. We'll discuss why that's problematic next. 6. Removing restrictors or governors. Pulling out restrictors or defeating speed governors may deliver top-end thrills, but it strips away safety engineering and can void warranties or break the law. Those limits exist for a reason, balancing speed with braking, stability, and regulatory compliance. A legitimate option is to consult your manufacturer or a certified shop about approved performance packages. that safely change gearing or power characteristics. Upgrades, done within recommended parameters, keep handling, braking, and legal obligations aligned. Fuel chemistry often looks like low-hanging fruit. The next chapter explains responsible choices there. If this saved you from blowing up your engine, or gave you ideas to upgrade the right way, hit like, drop a comment with the wildest mod you've seen, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. 7. Mixing unapproved fuel additives or chemicals. Unregulated cocktails can bump apparent octane, change burn speed, or promise injector cleaning, which sometimes smooths throttle and reduces audible knock. The quick, cheap path to better fuel feels like free horsepower. Off-spec chemistry swells seals, corrodes sensors, and poisons catalytic elements, turning small gains into cascading failures. Instead of curing roughness, you inherit leaks, fault codes, and a fuel system rebuild. Volume and flow seduce the ear as much as the stopwatch. The next move is loud, but it is rarely smart. 8. Illegally removing baffles or decibel killers. Pulling internal silencers reduces back pressure and can improve scavenging at certain revs, which makes throttle pickup feel snappier and the bike sound like a race machine. The noise tricks the brain into hearing speed, so the ride feels faster. Excessive noise crosses legal limits, and altered back pressure often flattens torque where you need it most, creating holes in the mid-range. Tickets, neighbor complaints, and chronic tuning issues follow, while long rides become fatiguing. Chasing speed with sprockets is the next classic move. Ratios cut both ways. 9. Unsafe gearing. Changes to overspeed the engine. Aggressive final drive changes shift the engine into a rev range that delivers quicker acceleration or a higher theoretical top speed, which feels thrilling in short bursts. The altered ratio can make the bike leap with a twist, selling the illusion of effortless power. Chains, bearings, and gear teeth pay the price through increased load and heat, while the engine spins in inefficient zones that drink fuel and shorten life. Sudden failures arrive as snapped chains, damaged cases, and bent valves. When emissions parts look like clutter, snipping hoses feels tidy. The downsides hide in the air you cannot see. 10. Disabling emissions controls. Removing evaporative emission systems or other controls simplifies plumbing and can reduce minor flow restrictions, which some riders interpret as a cleaner throttle and a freer breathing engine. The bike may feel less choked at low openings. Those systems stabilize combustion and keep harmful vapors out of places they do not belong. Disabling them raises pollution and creates drivability quirks. Expect fault codes, failed inspections, and component degradation that creeps until something breaks. Avoiding oversight leads some riders to dodge paperwork altogether. Shortcuts on paper turn into long detours in real life. 11. Faking or bypassing service and inspection records. Hiding maintenance gaps or inspection failures can keep a questionable bike on the road and make it seem problem-free, which masks issues that drag down performance. For a moment, everything looks sorted. Undocumented neglect compounds wear on brakes, bearings, and engines, turning small fixes into big failures that appear without warning. Legal penalties, lost resale value, and safety risks pile up, and the bike never truly runs right. If rules are ignored on paper, it is easy to ignore them in software. Track settings do not belong in traffic. 12. Running race maps on public roads. Race-focused calibrations deliver aggressive fueling, sharp throttle ramps, and timing aimed at maximum power, which feels electric when the grip is perfect. The engine revs eagerly, and the response is razor-edged. Those maps assume controlled temperatures, premium fuel, and smooth surfaces. On the street, they cause rough idle, higher emissions, and knock under real-world loads. Parts wear faster, the bike surges in traffic, and legal compliance disappears. Power hunger then reaches for forced air. Big numbers follow big risks. 13. Overboosting with turbo or supercharger setups. Turning up boost stuffs more air into the cylinders, allowing more fuel and unlocking massive torque and top-end power. The transformation is immediate and intoxicating. Without matched fueling, intercooling, and strengthened internals, pressure spikes trigger detonation, head gasket failures, and broken rods. Tuning complexity and maintenance demands skyrocket, and roadside trouble replaces track day glory. When horsepower hunts get mechanical, frames and forks become the next target. Structure is not a playground. 14. Welding or illegally modifying frame and suspension. Altering frame joints or changing suspension geometry can increase stiffness and sharpen steering response, which gives a sense of quicker turn-in and planted cornering. The bike may feel race-ready under load. Unapproved structural changes introduce stress concentrations and alter crash energy paths, setting the stage for sudden failure. Handling can actually degrade. Inspections are failed on site, and safety nets vanish exactly when you need them. Cutting wires to cut limits looks clever until the systems you trusted go silent. Electronics are a team sport. 15. Shorting connectors to defeat limiters or rider aids. Bypassing connectors that govern speed limiters or electronic aids removes interventions, so the bike responds without traction control or anti-lock braking system input. The result feels raw and immediate. Integrated systems expect to work together. Defeating one unthreads the rest and invites unpredictable slides, longer stops, and electronic conflict. Crashes become more likely, warranties evaporate, and legality is left behind. Tires are the only contact your motorcycle has with the road. Choosing the wrong ones cancels every other upgrade. 16. Running non-road. Legal tires or improper sizes, race compounds and odd sizes can deliver fierce dry grip and faster turn-in, which feels like a handling breakthrough on warm, perfect pavement. Lean angles rise and braking distances shrink in that narrow window. Outside that window, wet grip collapses, heat cycles ruin rubber quickly, and geometry changes upset stability and speedometer accuracy. Daily safety erodes, and replacement costs climb as performance becomes inconsistent. More air seems like more power, so intakes become the final playground. The engine, however, wants balance, not bravado. 17. Blocking or modifying the airbox to trick sensors. Opening or obstructing the airbox changes airflow patterns and sensor readings, which can make throttle response feel snappier and even bump peak power where the calibration is fooled. The first rides can feel livelier. Uncalibrated airflow pushes fueling out of alignment, creating lean surges, heat spikes, and flat spots that grow as weather changes. Over time, the engine suffers, drivability decays, and the gain turns into a repair bill. You now know exactly what each illegal tweak does, why the improvement can feel real, and what it truly costs in reliability, legality, and safety. The fastest path to a better running motorcycle is still thoughtful upgrades, honest maintenance, and expert calibration. Not shortcuts that empty your wallet and shorten your engine's life. If this helped you, subscribe so you do not miss future deep dives on safe upgrades and real-world tuning advice. Tell me in the comments, which one of these 17 tricks have you seen riders try, or which risky hack burned you the hardest? Your story could save someone else a rebuild. Hit like if you learned something useful, and share this with a rider who loves speed but hates surprise repairs.